2020 regular meeting of the Hawthorne City Council is called to order with all members present. Council member Mike Tejeda will do the invocation tonight. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by City Attorney Russ Miyahira.
Okay. Well, Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for our health. Please keep guiding us, giving us the wisdom to do our best job for the citizens of this city. We appreciate everything that we've been given and every chance to be of service. It's a real privilege to be of service, and we all appreciate that opportunity. We've got a big election coming up, and give everybody the wisdom to do the best job possible. Amen. That's it.
And
Thank you.
please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
All right, folks, thank you guys all. We have 3 presentations, but before we move on to the presentations, we're going to establish the rules of decorum for this meeting. Unfortunately, at the previous meetings, things got a bit out of hand, and so we need to make sure that we let the person who has the floor to complete their thoughts. Do not attack the person. Discuss or argue the ideas, and please do not interrupt on top of one person on top of each other. 3 warnings. If I reach the 3 warning mark, I'm going to recess the meeting temporarily so that cooler heads will prevail after that. And so that's it for that. City Clerk Jimenez has a presentation on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor Vargas. So tonight we're going to have Jeff Klein and Ryan Richard providing us the presentation from the County Clerk's office. So Ryan Richard, you have the floor, and I believe he provided Eric Eric Chavez a PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you.
Ryan, are you there?
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. And I see Jeff
Okay,
already.
yeah, it wasn't. So that the menu says it can't start on. Okay. And thank you, everyone, Mayor and Council, for inviting us out to give this presentation about, we titled it Voting in a Pandemic Era. So it's here just to give you some, and there we go. We've got the presentation up there. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. So this is really just going through to give you an idea of some of the updates and changes the county has made to our voting process in light of our current pandemic state right now. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it, just going. So I'm going to go for our next slide. So this is giving you a general election snapshot. You know, overall in LA County, we have about 5.5 million registered voters. That just key fact, and important thing to know about that, that's larger than 42 other states. So we have a lot of unique challenges and opportunities when it comes to maintaining or administrating an election of this size. The blue number down there is about approximately 2.5 million new ballots that were added. So prior to this last election, we had about 3 million voters that were already registered to vote by mail. With COVID-19 and LA County moving to all vote by mail, or giving everyone the opportunity to vote by mail, we added about 2.5 million ballots that we're actually sending out to all of the registered voters in Los Angeles County. Staying in line with county and state guidelines in all vote centers, while we will have in-person voting, they will have the social distancing COVID procedures will be in place at all vote centers, meaning you will see signage that will show 6 feet apart. The signage went to more of a pictograph to help it even be easier for individuals who speak different languages to understand exactly what's going on there. So 6 feet apart, wearing gloves, individuals will be instructed to wear masks during the voting process. And I have another slide, we'll go over that later in the presentation. Oh no, thanks Eric. Can you go back one more? Eric, there we go. So right there, other thing to note, we may have seen this with our primary. We actually have 11 days to vote. So this shows 10 days prior to election day. So you can actually go out and vote in person 10 days ahead of time for a total of 11 days to vote. That does span over the course of 2 weekends. So you have the opportunity to go out and make your voice heard throughout the course of this vote period. We expanded our vote by mail drop box program. So vote by mail drop box, initially in March, we had about 206 drop boxes. We've expanded that up to about 400 drop boxes all around LA County. And all those boxes are serviced directly by the LA County Registrar Recorder's Office. And we'll talk about those more on the next slide. So if we go to the next slide. So here you see what our vote by mail drop boxes look like. They sell very big, very prominently official vote by mail drop box. They have the bright coloring to make sure you know these are exactly the boxes that you should be using. There's 2 types of boxes, so I always get this one backwards. So this one shows on my left and maybe your right. The smaller box that says tampering with this box is a felony. That's actually a walk-up box. So you'll be able to walk up to that box and insert your ballot in there. The slot on there is no bigger than that of a ballot, so you can't really fit anything else in there. And it has a loop in there, so it's hard to get your hand or anything else actually fit down off in that box. The boxes, again, they're maintained directly by the County Registrar Recorder's Office. The second box, which would be either my right or your left now, that says official drop box, that's actually a drive-up box. So you'd be able to put that ballot into that ballot box without even getting out of your car. You drive right past it. We have one of these stationed at the Registrar Recorder's Office in Norwalk. That's 12400 Imperial Highway in Norwalk, California. If you drive up there, you can actually just slip your ballot right there in that slot there. Important things we want our communities to know about voting, and to make sure when you return that ballot that it's signed and sealed. Once it's signed and sealed, you sign and date it on the back, you can go ahead and cast that ballot. Make sure that also want to make sure that you return all the pieces of it. If you have 4 pages of your ballot, you want all 4 pages of that ballot to be returned. So that way everything is intact when it comes to processing. So go to our next slide. So this slide is specifically talking about how we return our ballot, how we vote by mail in county. You have 2 options here. You can use the drop boxes. The drop boxes opened on October 5th. So they are currently open for use. They are serviced directly by the County Registrar Recorder's Office. That means we are the only operation that has access to those boxes to get in there. So we open those and bring those ballots directly back to the office. Again, like I said, they open on October 5th. The USPS, with the issues and things that we've been facing around the United States Postal Service, the county has been really proactive with working with them. So we meet with the post office once a week and to address any issues or concerns they may have about how we're going to make sure that we're safely and securely voting. Being here, county or the post office recommendation is vote early. Return that ballot as early as you possibly can. Once you filled it out, get it in the mail. Big things that have changed here. Traditionally, we have 3 days. So if election day is November 3rd, it moves on. You have till November 6th to receive that ballot in the office so it can be counted. Now the state has moved that deadline, so we have 17 days, meaning that election day is November 3rd. We have up to November 20th to receive a ballot that is postmarked by election day. If we receive it in the office before, anytime before the 20th, it can still be counted, still be taken off and counted. The post office has guaranteed us in this time a 1-week turnaround on election materials. So what that means is once you put your ballot in the mail, if you were to place it in the mail 7 days later, no later than that, they expect it to be to our office. Now, what's important about that is if your ballot is postmarked by election day, that means November 10th would be 7 days in that guaranteed window. They still have up to the 20th to make sure that they get those ballots there. So we have a large cushion to make sure that people are still able to receive those, we're able to receive those ballots and ensure that everybody's vote is being counted appropriately. Your next slide. This is a really fun part. I love to tell people about this one, ballot tracks. California ballot tracks, this is a system that the county is partnering with. What this system does is that if you've ever tracked a package via Amazon or FedEx, any of those services, you can do it pretty much the same way via this system of California Ballot Tracks. Very simple, easy to sign up. Just takes your first, last name, your date of birth, zip code. Plug that in there, and this system, I actually signed up for it myself, will send you emails to say, hey, check your mail, your ballot should be coming. Check your mail, your ballot should be coming. You've received your ballot. I actually had a coworker who used the system and voted today, and it will even send you a message to say, hey, you voted in person. Congratulations, are going to start moving through the process. So it's a great system that gives you real-time notifications. So I encourage everyone to utilize this to make sure that you're able to see where your ballot is as it moves through the process. And next slide. It's a long transition. Okay, so this is the 10 and 5 day voting period. So this means 10 days prior to election day, so a total for 11 days, 4 days prior to election day, total of 5 day vote centers. So these were our targets. I believe some of them we exceeded, specifically with the 10-day locations. So we had approximately 75 10-day locations. I believe the number is a little bit higher than that. And with the 5-day locations with about 800, we hit that target there. Key things to note with these, the hours of voting have changed a little bit. So traditionally they were 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now they're looking at 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on all of the early voting days. So that would be every day before November 3rd. They would be 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that's in the 10-day and 5-day locations. All vote centers on election day will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that's pretty standard of what they have been before. Be able to go in and cast your vote in person from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on all of the early voting days. So we have the next slide. So this, for many of you, will be a little bit of a review. This is just showing you what the ballot marking device looks like. When we switch to, key things to note that it is it's a paper ballot. It's not electronic voting. It's not voting over the internet. It's 100% secure because it is not connected to the internet. The devices are not connected to one another. They are simply standalone devices. I like to refer to them as a big marker. All it does is marks that paper for you. You insert paper, it prints out paper for you to read, and then you reinsert it, and that casts a ballot. Again, big reasons we went to this is because they're fully accessible. As you see there in this picture, we have a voter that's in a wheelchair that's able to vote there. We've used this with individuals who are vision impaired, hearing impaired. All these things you're able to do this on the device here. Key fun features that lots of people like, you're able to adjust the text size and actually contrast, and you're able to adjust the language. So we have 13 different languages that the device actually supports, all the primary service languages of the county. So next slide. So this is a completely optional part of the system. This is the interactive sample ballot. Again, this one is optional. This is purely a time saver device. So in step 1 there, you'll be able to fill out your ballot online. And this is just it's a sample ballot that you can fill out online. Then you get 2 options at the end. You can either print out this poll pass, it'll come on a little piece of paper, it's a QR code, or you can keep that QR code on your phone. When you get to the polling place, you will still need to check in because you still need to receive that paper ballot at the polling place. So you will check in, receive the paper ballot, put it into the device, and at one point it will ask you, are you ready to start voting? Or you'll say, I have a poll pass. When you say, I have a poll pass, you'll scan that QR code. It will pull all the selections up onto the screen and bring you to the review page. It brings you to the review page in case you had decided you changed your mind about anything. You can make changes at that point. Once you're satisfied with the changes, you hit complete and move forward, and it will move just like normal. This is mainly just to save time, as we have moved to these consolidated elections where everybody's all at the same time, so your ballots get a bit long. So you may have 16, 17 races to vote on it one day. So this just provides you an option to save some time if you choose to. If not, completely optional. You can continue to vote the same way you have before, but if you'd like to, this option is available for you.
Ryan, you're at 2 minutes.
Got it. Next slide. I think we're almost done. So this is just giving you the information about COVID-19. You know, voters will be asked to wear a clean face covering. If you don't have one, it can be provided for you. Gloves are available on request. Every device, everything a voter touches will be sanitized before the next voter uses it. They're sanitized a bit much throughout the day. They're consistently sanitizing the devices to make sure that everything is clean and safe for voters to use. Election workers will also be wearing the proper PPE as they are there at the vote center. And I believe this is the last slide. If we click one more. No, it's not. This is our timeline. So some of these dates have passed already. Our sample ballot booklets have been mailed out on September 24th. October 5th was the first day that vote by mail drop boxes opened. Also, we opened early voting at the registrar recorder's office. So if any of you are really anxious about getting in there and voting, you can come in and vote with us at the county there if you'd like to. October 19th is the official registration deadline. That deadline is just the deadline for receiving a vote by mail ballot. In California, you can register to vote same day, so you can still do that if you choose to. But if you'd like a vote by mail ballot, you need to be registered by October 19th. Centers open for 11-day centers on October 24th. 5-day centers open October 30th. And election day is November 3rd. And next slide. And this is our Stay Engaged page. This is just, all the different ways that you can follow up and find good information from the county. So big point about our social media, it's shifted a little. It used to be fun pictures of me and my outreach team doing fun stuff. We don't do as much of that anymore. It's more actionable information. Hey, these are rules and things you need to know about voting, about your process. So it's a great way to find some primary source information that if you want to share out to kind of make sure that you have the right information and share it with your friends there. If you don't find everything you need, have lavote.net. Also, last resort, if you can't get an answer there, feel free to send us an email at vsap@rrcc.lacounty.gov, and someone will get back with you to address your issues. And if you hit one more for the next slide, that's it. That's us, and thank you. I'm here to take any questions.
Right on time. So if anyone has any questions, I believe Olivia.
I have a question. Hello, Ryan. Thank you for that fine presentation. That's very informative. I have a question about security. What security is being provided at the drop box locations, and how often are those drop boxes emptied?
So as far as security at the drop box location, many of them are set up in front of libraries, parks, or spaces where they're actually they can be watched, but the main security precaution.
I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I'm getting an echo.
Yeah, I could jump in, Ryan, while you work on your sound.
Okay, go. Yeah.
So, hi, this is Jeff. A great presentation by Ryan, a lot of great information, and so I'm happy to help him out while he's fixing his sound, just so we don't delay the meeting. The boxes are picked up every 72 hours, or the ballots are picked up every 72 hours for the first 20 days, and then every 24 hours for the final 10 days. They are, as Ryan was trying to explain, a facility where they are placed. The facility, we've asked them to keep an eye on the box. They are bolted to the ground, and they also chain to the facility if bolting is not an option. So they are secured. No one can pick it up and put it on their truck and drive off with it or anything like that. The boxes themselves are pretty resistant. They're vandalism resistant. They've been tested to withstand a lot of damage. And then the slots themselves, are only wide enough to put an envelope inside. Local cities, and this, I'm not sure the plan for Hawthorne, but some cities have also notified their local police as they're driving around, just to keep an eye on where the boxes are and so forth. So a lot of people paying attention, and a lot of steps put into place to make sure that it's secure. And it's the final note. We had over 200, as Brian mentioned, in the primary election. And we didn't have a problem with any of those boxes in the primary. So I think it's a good thing to note, because we don't anticipate any issues for the November election.
And then my next question is, where are the drop boxes in Hawthorne?
I think my sound might be
Yeah,
back.
I can go ahead and answer that. I was going to provide that later, but so the drop boxes right now, they're at Bodger Park, Hawthorne Library, Hawthorne Memorial Park, and Weisburn Library. And I can send this to you as an email as well, to all the elected officials.
Please, thank you.
To the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Dr. Jimenez, for set up this presentation. a lot of people have asked me about, you see the envelope, right? It have 2 holes on it. If that needs any reason that there's holes on it, the ballot have to go in a different way?
Jeff, you want?
Sure. Yeah, it's more for just a QC process. The ballot can go in any way inside the envelope. It helps with processing when we get it. We can see if there's something inside. If it's empty, it can be handled quickly. So it's more of just a quality control.
Yes.
It doesn't really have any impact on the voter.
Okay, so that's great to know. And just to tell the listeners that, you know, they can vote anywhere in LA County, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So for these 11 days or 5 days, they can go anywhere. They can vote. So they don't need to wait until the November 3rd.
Don't need to wait till November 3rd with the California Voters Choice Act. Individuals from California can vote, or in Hawthorne can vote anywhere in LA County. You can go, we have lots of really big vote centers that are going on. I'm sure some of you have seen the mention of the Dodger Stadium or SoFi Stadium or our Hollywood Bowl spaces that we will have available for in-person voting. And all of those spaces are available for anyone to go and cast their ballot in person.
Okay. And just I want us to push that the tracking, right? To make sure that you know, tell people to track their ballots, so that they'll feel better if they, you know, especially if they put it on the post office. So it's good to track it.
And I will send that. I believe the presentation. I sent the presentation to Eric, but I will also send the link to California ballot tracks over to Dr. Jimenez, and then he can share that with you all, so you can share it as you like.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
that link is also being provided on our cityofhawthorne.org/voting website as well.
And I have another question, and that is, we used to have a drop box in the city of Hawthorne. Why was that taken away? We always have a drop box in the city every year and every voting cycle. And this year we don't have one. Why is that?
I think she mentioned about the city hall, right?
In the city of Hawthorne, in the city clerk's office, there was always a drop box.
You know, and I wasn't a part of the negotiations with the city and determining the locations. It's possible. Do you have members of the public coming into your city offices?
No.
No.
So that could be why they opted for another location. I don't, Dr. Jimenez, you might have some other information on that.
No, I was going to say, I think that's part of it. And also the idea that we literally have another box right across from us at the Hawthorne Library. So I think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You know, if we're going to have two that are right next to each other, it wouldn't make much sense. So it makes more sense to spread them out.
So, City Clerk Jimenez, Orion or Mr. Klein. Do we have a 5 or 10 day voting station here in the city of Hawthorne?
Yeah.
I also provided. Paul, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So we have one at Delaware Park.
Delaware Park?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have one at the Memorial Center at Betty Ainsworth anymore?
No, we don't. We're actually gonna have a flex vote center at that location this time around.
Flex Vote Center, which would be just dropping things off or something? Or?
No, so basically the aim is for us to get those during the weekend right before the elections. So they'll be open on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. where people can actually go in and vote.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to have something at the Memorial Center for that.
Yeah. So
that's what
there and also Holly Park.
Okay. No, yeah, that's what I meant. And so those are only the only 2 locations?
For the flex votes, so the flex vote centers are only weekends, and we have all our other locations are going to be open 5 days or 10 days, and in total we have 8 of those. So in total we have 10 locations.
To the chair.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. City Manager.
It relates to the flex vote centers. That's certainly the idea, and that's an item later on the agenda that has to be voted on by the council.
Yeah. So that is the plan.
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Dr. Jimenez, can you just go ahead and just read just the location, like for example, the 5 days and then the 11 days, so people know, just know. So just read them for me, please.
Okay, just do them now. I was gonna do them later, but just in
Yeah,
case we
just
lose
doing them
people.
now.
Yeah, it's relevant right now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so basically all of these are going to be your 5 days. So it's Bud Carson Middle School, Dana Middle School, Hawthorne High School, Hawthorne Library, Juan de Enza Elementary School, the Moose Lodge, Prairie Vista Middle School. And then there's going to be one 10-day, which is going to be starting on 10/24, it's October 24th, and that's going to be at Delaware Park.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation.
So, yeah, before Ryan goes, I just want to tell you guys, I just want to thank Ryan and Jeff, also Laura, she's been great with all this, and Marianne. I'm telling you guys, this is a lot of work. I'm like, oh man, I understand all the work that it takes to be a city clerk. Over this last like month and a half, 2 months, because there's a lot of people involved, and just their team has been amazing about it. The point that we had 4 locations during the primary elections, and now that we're going to have 8, possibly 10, I think that says a lot that we're providing locations for our entire community to vote, which I think is extremely important. So just I give my kudos to their team. So thank you.
Great. And, I'd like to actually say on that note, just, I really appreciate it. Not every city is always easiest to work with, and Dr. Menez does a really good job of partnering with us and has for a while. And so really appreciate just being a really great conduit for Hawthorne, and making, we can't do the election without the partnership of all of our cities. So the easier we can work with the city, the easier it is to provide voting services to the people of the city. So we really appreciate the partnership of Hawthorne, and especially Dr. Menez really stepping up and working with us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Mayor Pro Tem Montero, who has a presentation on the agenda, Family Promise of South Bay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I want to thank you, the staff first, because the Family Promise of South Bay, on August 25th, 2020, we approved a new nonprofit to join us to fight against the homeless. I would like to recognize the new recipient of the City of Hawthorne CDBG CV Fund, Family Promise of South Bay. This group assists, short-term relief, enable families to stay housed, landlord mediation, utility assistance, and lifelong coaching. Daycare, provide families with a safe place when not at work or school, transport, case managed, showers, and laundry facility. So it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Andrew Nishimoto that will give us more about the Family Promise of South Bay.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It's really exciting to partner with the City of Hawthorne. We've been looking for different ways to partner with different cities, as each city is unique in their needs with homelessness. And so I think that Eric has a video to start off the presentation with. Eric, you could start that. Eric, there should be sound there.
There is no sound.
If we can't get sound, that's okay. We can send it out to the council members later, and I can just move forward with the slide presentation.
It has the subtitles, so we can watch that for a little bit.
sound.
Can we try to get sound on that? That's an interesting video.
And we're gonna probably do that after the meeting. We'll watch it individually, but just so we can move along, right?
Mhm.
Someone told Eric that it would have no sound.
Eric is listening, so he
Oh,
should.
he's listening.
Yeah.
Eric is always listening.
Yeah, we can definitely just get that to you with sound, and you guys can take a look
Thank
at
you.
that later.
Andrew,
Great
do you?
presentation, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Chair. Yeah, Andrew, do you have on the top of your head some of the statistics that that video was talking about that you can share?
Which statistics are you referring to?
You know, those 65,000, those 6,500 kids or 65,000 kids, students without a home, things like that. Could you elaborate on that? On some of those statistics?
Yeah, I can
Sir,
pull that up.
what we're gonna
Yeah.
do is we're gonna just let you do your presentation, and if you can incorporate that in your presentation, just so we can move ahead.
Okay.
If you can incorporate his question in your presentation.
Okay.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks. Eric, if you can start the slideshow, and you can move past to the second slide there. So Family Promise is primarily a family homeless shelter, but we also work in prevention, diversion, and stabilization. Our vision is that we believe no child should have to sleep in a car, a park, or under a bridge, and every family deserves a chance to be whole. So our motivation is the children. You'll see that in our videos, you'll see that in our approach. Oftentimes, the children are the ones that don't have a voice, the ones that don't have a choice in the matter, and they're the ones that are greatly impacted. You saw the stat there that children that are experiencing homeless are 3 times more likely to get sick. Therefore, they skip school. Therefore, they fall further behind, and that learning gap is increased. And so we really approach it holistically as a family, recognizing that every decision that the parent makes impacts the child dramatically and exponentially, we believe, in a lot of ways. If you go to the next slide, Eric. So I'm going to give you a quick recap of what we did last year as an organization, and then we can move into some more of what we're looking for in our partnership with the City of Hawthorne. You can go 2 slides ahead, Eric, to the families served in our network. So in 2019, we served 16 families, and that's just specifically in our rotational shelter, which is one of our shelter programs. We have a rotational shelter and a transitional shelter. My first year in the organization was last year, and we were able to grow exponentially in how we serve the families, and we are on track to at least meet our same expectations of 16 families. We may go beyond that, and this year it's been a very unique year, and so we're not exactly sure if we will be able to maintain our trajectory into the 4th quarter this year. If we are, then we'll exceed 16. If not, then we'll just meet 16 families again. But really the best stat for our organization, if you go to the next slide, is that every family that's graduated our program is still housed. So we continue to track our families post-graduation, and graduation means that we place them into permanent housing. So every family that we've placed into permanent housing has remained in permanent housing. That doesn't mean they never came back to us for some sort of assistance. For some people, we had to help them with utilities or possibly with a month's rent to make sure that they maintained because they were in between jobs. But through preventative measures, through life skills training, we were able to keep all of the families housed. And so we still have 100% success rate with placed families. If you go to the next slide, outside of the actual rotational shelter, we also are a referral network. When you call 211 and you say you have a family and you're experiencing homelessness, they're going to give you our number. And that's for all of the South Bay. They're going to give you a couple of numbers, but if you're a family, we're going to be the primary number that you get. Also in a couple other cities within their resource network, we are the family homeless service provider that is listed. And so last year we were able to serve over 330 families, finding them either resources, housing, keeping them housed through prevention resources, or diverting them from shelter through diversion resources. One of the ways that we're able to do that, even though we're so small as an organization, if you go to the next slide, we utilize volunteers extensively. You can see the in-kind contribution is over 2/3 of what we do. That's through volunteer hours, volunteers bringing meals, volunteers driving our guests to and from work or doctor's appointments or school. And so we do all of that through volunteers. And the rest of our income comes through mostly individual supporters. We only have a small number of government grants. And that's something that I actually was hired to do, was to connect with more cities, connect with the County of Los Angeles, to continue to serve more families. And so we are now approved to bid on grants through the county. That was one of our big initiatives when I came on staff last year, and now we are approved to do that. You can go to the next slide. We do serve all the cities of the South Bay, and while each city has its unique challenges, the beauty of serving an entire region is that we can utilize resources from one area to another when those aren't existent in that particular city. So if a family comes to us from the city of Carson and there are no current affordable housing units available, we can look in a different city within the South Bay and help place them still in their local region, but where there are resources available. And that's actually why we want to build in partnerships with individual cities so that we can know the needs, we can play into the individual city plans for homelessness and partner accordingly. So if you go to the next slide, and you can actually go to the one after that. This is our goal with the city of Hawthorne. We want to partner to bring additional resources to support families that are at risk of becoming homeless or those that are already experiencing homelessness. And starting this partnership now, we're able to address the city, the residents that might be at risk due to COVID before it happens. Right now, there's a moratorium on evictions. And so we're able to engage with families before they get evicted, before they're on the streets, to hopefully divert them from shelter, divert them from homelessness, and keep them engaged in their permanent shelter. You can go to the next slide. So the way that we will determine success is by making sure that we keep families housed and that we equip them to stay housed. And we want them to stay within the city of Hawthorne. We think that the citizens and residents of each city bring value to that city. And there's a lot of pride in the city of Hawthorne for those that are residents of the city of Hawthorne. And we want them to be able to stay there and continue to contribute. And the way that we think we can bring about the success is through communication. So on the next slide, we really think that this is the most important aspect of this new grant, and that's communication, because one of the things that we see within homelessness is that the families that are at risk of homelessness don't know what resources are out there. So right now, the city of Hawthorne is offering assistance for renters to make sure that they can stay in their homes during this COVID pandemic. There are many people that don't even know that that exists. And that's no fault of anybody besides the fact that communication is difficult. There's so many streams, so many ways to access information. And so we're going to help spread the word. We're going to help get that out through social media, through partnerships with you to find out different streams of communication. Next slide. When we approach a family in Hawthorne and anywhere, this is our model. We look at preventing them from becoming homeless. We offer them shelter if they need it. And then once we get them into permanent housing, we make sure that they are stable and they're in a sustainable environment so that they don't go back into homelessness post that placement. So that's kind of what we're looking to do in the city of Hawthorne. The final slide just gives you some of our contact information. We are headquartered in Torrance, but we do serve in all of the cities of the South Bay. So I would love to answer any questions you have. I know, council member, I didn't give you specific stats. I would love to actually email those to you because there's a lot of them to go through. And I think giving you the resource links will give you some context, because some of the numbers, especially as we look regionally, are a little bit difficult to go through by just spouting them out. So I'd love to give you the resource links for those.
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's a very difficult job. So thank you for taking on a huge job. When you talk about finding on permanent housing, can you kind of go through a step how that works and what it takes to put a family and find them permanent housing? Yes, definitely. There are a couple of different avenues to permanent housing for the families that we serve.
Because we intervene earlier than some other homeless shelters, and because we are dealing with families that haven't been homeless very long for the most part, our avenues are a little bit different than some other homeless service agencies, because the majority of our guests get housed without using any sort of government assistance for housing. So whereas a lot of shelters will be reliant on Section 8 vouchers to get their families housed, most of our families do have income, and therefore they might only need to access a different short-term program like rapid rehousing or something like that, which we can get them connected to. And some of them are able to access permanent housing on their own, and they just need either assistance in savings to pay for the down payment and or first month's rent and security deposit, or they just need assistance budgeting, right? And so for our families, we do walk alongside them looking for housing. So we'll just look on rental sites. We also have connections with some of the Section 8 HUD housing websites that give us some affordable housing options. And because we've already income qualified them, we already can access them. And then we do a lot of landlord mediation. So we'll actually go with them to showings for apartments so that we can meet the landlord and we can vouch for the character of the families, because they've been participating in our program and developing the skills to be able to continue to pay the rent ongoing. So those are the different avenues that we kind of take to help a family get housed.
Do you ever act as guarantor or?
That's a good question. We never have. So there's over 200 affiliates of Family Promise across the country. We are the South Bay affiliate. In the last meeting I had with the other executive directors across the country, over half of them since the pandemic has started did become guarantors of apartments simply to get people in, because they were seeing such an influx of need. We have not moved to that. Being in the South Bay, the financial risk is a lot higher here for every rental that we guarantee. But that is something that our board is looking at possibly doing.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. That was a very, very fine presentation. Really enjoyed hearing what your company does, or your agency does, I should say. We already have a task force in place. How would your Family Promise coordinate with our task force? And how would you coordinate efforts so that there wouldn't be a duplication of efforts, and it would be it would be a beneficial in the long run? Right.
Yeah, the beauty, and I want to give huge kudos to Kimberly Mack and her team, because when we developed this grant, one of the things that we did is we wanted to make sure that it'd be something that was beneficial for the city. And the beauty of the situation that Family Promise is in is that we have never made ourselves dependent upon grants in order to be sustainable. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want to be, we don't want the numbers to drive us. We want our mission to drive us. And so in doing that, working with your task force, what we are is we're a case management lifelong partner for families that are looking for that. Not every family is that experiencing homelessness. We're not the right fit for every family. If there's a family experiencing current domestic violence, we're not the right fit because we don't have confidential locations, right? So we have to partner with other people to do that. What we are is we're the fit for the families that are struggling but need ongoing support, either in training or whether it's mental health support or anything like that. And so we'll fit that niche. We are definitely not the end all be all for homelessness. And we know that. And I think that that's something that we bring to the table, is that we aren't fighting for numbers. We aren't fighting for people. We're fighting to support those that need it. And that's something that, as we were working with your team in developing this grant, was definitely recognized across the board. And so I think that that's how we'll do it. And like I said, the most important aspect is communication, is recognizing who's doing what, when, why, and where, and then partnering whatever way we can to make that happen.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anybody else? Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you for being partners with our city. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're very excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for the presentation. I have a presentation on the agenda. Is Boyd Bishop here? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome, wonderful. So I have a presentation on the agenda, and it's with regards to Gemini mobility. And we all talk about being environmentally friendly, being green, going green, saving our environment, electric vehicles and, everything. But do we necessarily have the infrastructure? So possibly not. And people like Boyd Bishop have decided to undertake that task and establish something that could be very impacting in our community and in the county, in the state, in the country. And he's based here in the city of Hawthorne. So go ahead, Boyd. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Eric, if you can pull up my presentation, that would be great.
It was great that you called me, and I thought this would be a good time to present your presentation. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council, Hawthorne employees, residents, and other distinguished guests, thank you for your time this evening. Plan to take about 5 minutes of your time and then answer some questions after my presentation. My name is Boyd Bishop. I'm a Hawthorne resident, as Mayor Vargas told you. I'm a homeowner here. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and I'm the co-founder of a company called Gemini Electric Mobility Company. And I'm here this evening to speak to you about a really important topic and to seek your support and participation for something that we all need and deserve. Next slide, please. And that's clean air. So the pandemic has been a really challenging time for all of us, but for a brief moment, there was something positive that came out of it. And this is a view of downtown during the springtime when there were not really many cars on the road, and you had really kind of clear blue skies in California. Our mission at Gemini is climate care and clean air for all, and we're doing that with technology and electric vehicles specifically, and economics. Next slide, please. Now, unfortunately, there's a major problem gripping the entire world, but it's even worse here in California and Los Angeles. Next slide, please. And that is traffic and emissions from tailpipes. So here you can see, our view of the 405 highway at Rosecrans Boulevard. I live, not too far from this intersection. And, now transportation is the world's #1 contributor to greenhouse gases. Within that category of transportation, it's light duty vehicles, such as these passenger cars, that are the worst contributor. And then on top of that, even the worst of the worst contributors are gig economy drivers, such as rideshare drivers. These drivers, they drive 3 times as much as a normal driver. So they're putting 3 times as much emissions into the air. And, unfortunately, again, Hawthorne and our residents are contributing to this problem in a major way. So our zip code, 90250, has the most number of Uber drivers of any other zip code in Los Angeles. So we are the problem, and we need to find a solution. Now, many have pointed to electric vehicles as the solution to the problem, and we believe it is too, but there's a problem within that. Next slide, please. And the problem is that for most gig economy drivers, they're driving a $10,000 to $12,000 car, and that's what they can afford based on the type of income that they make. Electric vehicles like the new one you see here, a new electric vehicle costs 4 times as much as that. A used electric vehicle costs still twice as much as that. So these drivers can't afford to get these cars. The second major problem is charging. Most gig drivers don't have an ability or have access to convenient charging. I drive an electric car. I know the city manager, Eric Lee, drives an electric car. It's really convenient when you can plug in overnight, wake up to a full charge and go drive. But for most gig drivers that don't, own a home, or they're living in an apartment, they don't have an ability to get overnight charging. So then what do they do for charging? When you drive around Hawthorne, you don't see electric vehicle charging stations in Hawthorne. So if you're driving one of these cars for Uber or Lyft, you're forced then to go find a charging station out in the community, and you're wasting valuable time and effort on trying to find this charging. So that it doesn't work, and we've seen that it doesn't work. Next slide, please. So we've created a solution for this at Gemini. Next slide. And what our solution entails is a used electric vehicle that we bundle together with convenient charging, and we price that in a way that becomes affordable to a gig economy driver. We package all this up and we deliver it, and we make it available to gig economy drivers. Next slide. The time is now. Next slide. You've probably all seen Governor Newsom's mandate to go electric by 2035. There's a lot of press around Los Angeles reducing emissions leading up to the 2028 Olympics. Next slide, please. There's also been recent announcements by both Uber and Lyft that they plan to go electric by the year 2030. So all these declarations have been made. There's a lot of support, but the challenge right now is that there's not a solution on how to do this. So we're providing that solution. Next slide, please. What we've proposed to Hawthorne is to form a unique, first of its kind partnership between Gemini and the city of Hawthorne to bring electric vehicles and charging infrastructure to the city of Hawthorne. And what I want to do, and what I want to enroll you to do, is to help make Hawthorne the model city in the entire world for the electrification of the gig economy and rideshare. And we can do this. Gemini is going to provide all of the investment capital to make this happen. We're going to do the installation, the maintenance, the operation of this business. And what we need from Hawthorne is support, primarily in 3 areas, which I'll address later in the presentation, but space, permitting, and basically publicity for the program. And what we propose is a pilot starting this year at City Hall and expanding until we reach the goal, which would be 100% electrification of rideshare drivers and the gig economy in Hawthorne. Next slide, please. So why Hawthorne? I've already told you about the concentration of gig economy drivers that live here. So for us, we wanted to attack the problem from the top down. And, we saw Hawthorne as an opportunity to do that. Once we got to know, I live here, but, I wasn't aware of some of the initiatives that Hawthorne had in place. But once we got to know those, and I've had a chance to speak with Mayor Vargas and some of the members of his team, there are some really synergistic goals with the city of Hawthorne. And we believe we can work together to accomplish this mission. Obviously, it's a great location within Los Angeles, and you've got some great tenants here already. We want to build our company here. We want to hire Hawthorne residents as employees. And, this is personal for me too, right? I'm raising my children here. Like I said, not far from the 405. And I want clean air in this city for my kids when they go to the parks. Next slide, please. The benefits for Hawthorne are going to be immense. First of all, there's community benefits. So these cars and this charging is going to be for your residents. The idea is we need to bring the charging infrastructure close to where these gig economy drivers live, as close as we can, to simulate the ability to charge overnight at your home. So the gig drivers will be using the cars. They'll be using the charging infrastructure at night. They drive all day, they park the car, they charge all night, and they come back to the car in the morning. During the day, this charging infrastructure is available to the community. It's available to your residents and your guests. Second thing is economic. We're going to be investing in Hawthorne. We're prepared to fully electrify the Hawthorne fleet. So thousands of drivers in Hawthorne, we're prepared to buy those electric vehicles, pay for that charging infrastructure, and absorb all of the cost of this program to make this happen. There's also a potential tax benefit here for the city. We'll be purchasing, again, thousands of cars for Hawthorne. If we're headquartered here, potentially tens of thousands of cars for the Los Angeles area. And there's, taxes that are paid on the purchase of those automobiles. And then economics for your residents.
Mr. Bishop, just you're at 1 minute.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. The real benefit for the residents is, for these Uber drivers, what they care about is money in their pocket. So this is going to lower the cost of transportation for these drivers, and they put more money into their pocket. Next slide, please. And I can share this presentation after as well. So I want to hit the highlight here. So this is the progress that we've made to date. We've made some great progress, but we need to do more. We're interested in doing a pilot with you. We have vehicles that are coming online. We want to start installing charging here. So this is what we need help with. Next slide, please. And you can move through these next slide pretty quickly. Go ahead, next slide. What we need is Hawthorne's underutilized open space. It's not being used at night. This is your city hall. Keep moving. This is Hawthorne Boulevard, Ralph's parking lot, McDonald's. It's a combination of city-owned property and businesses. What we're trying to do is utilize this space that's not being used overnight to create this EV charging infrastructure, where we'll use the charging overnight for the gig drivers, and the city, Ralph's, McDonald's will have use of the charging infrastructure during the day. So we're really excited about this. We look forward to continued work with your team, and we're looking for more of your support to be able to take this to the next level. So I've really broken it down into 3 areas where we see needing assistance, and it's, again, space from the public and businesses, streamlined permitting to actually get the charging infrastructure installed, and then awareness that you can provide in the form of helping us reach out to the Chamber of Commerce members so that we can talk to different businesses in the community about what charging could mean for them and how they can help. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to share the presentation and welcome your questions.
Are there any questions from my colleagues?
I don't, through the chair.
Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman.
This is a very exciting program. I'm very interested in it. A chance for us to expand our economic footprint and to what we one of our goals has always been to bring more businesses into Hawthorne and to encourage business operations in the city of Hawthorne. My question is about the space you say you need, and that is, how would that work? Because we don't necessarily have control over private parking lots. So that would require that we approach would you expect us to approach the owners of the commercial centers and acquire and negotiate the space for you? Or would you be doing that and expect and wish our help with that? How would that work?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your question. We would be looking for your support. We would manage that process with the business owners. What we would be looking for is a platform to be able to get introduced to the different business owners, to present them with the proposition for them to participate as what we call as a site host. And the benefits for them are zero upfront cost for the infrastructure that we install. We utilize their space at night, and during the daytime, they would have an ability to utilize the space in the best manner that they see fit. So for a Ralph's parking lot, a Superior Groceries parking lot, what that could mean is space for customers to be able to park, or it could mean a electric vehicle program for their employees where they provide charging, during the work hours for employees. So we would be, asking for your support in the awareness to the business owners. And then once we have a business owner that does want to participate, we would ask for your support in a streamlined permitting process, to get the permitting through in order to be able to do the installation.
So basically, you would be interested initially in our introducing you to our businesses and setting up meetings with you and our businesses so that you could proceed from there. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And we are also interested in any space that Hawthorne would have available. When you drive down Hawthorne Boulevard at night, there is nothing but empty space where there's parking meters during the day and available space overnight. So we would be open to that discussion with the city as well, of for talking about space that you may have and needs you may have. And then yes, on the business side, really looking for introductions to the local businesses.
To the chair.
Chair.
Okay, I'm gonna, well, actually, I think Councilmember Tayeda was trying to get in earlier. Okay, go ahead, Councilmember.
That's it's a great program. I mean, you're a visionary, whoever came up with that. But you're going to buy the cars, you're going to provide the cars to the drivers, you're going to charge the cars. Have you figured out how many cars and drivers you're going to need and how many charging stations you're going to need based on your model? And, how far would they have to be from where the driver lives and things like that? Is that, because I mean, it's a wonderful, looks great on paper. I got to be honest with you, it looks terrific.
Yeah.
But you have
Yes,
certain challenges.
yes, sir. There's definitely, it's definitely a big challenge. Jess, I mean, very briefly, the past 3 years, I was an executive at a company called Fair Financial, and I led business development and strategic partnerships for the company. So I managed our exclusive partnership with Uber Technologies, and my program regrew to over 50,000 cars and customers over a 3-year time span. And I took this program into 30 different markets across the US. So myself and my team has great experience in managing these type of large fleets. And we have the direct experience of working with Uber drivers. What we've done is, and the element that, I left Fair, and part of that, the reason to leave was that I was contributing to that problem of putting Uber drivers on the road in, internal combustion engine vehicles, and saw that. And now myself and my team are on a mission to combat that. And to do that, we have to bring the charging infrastructure. So yes, we've built very sophisticated models to look at where these charging infrastructure needs to be. And in Hawthorne specifically, we've actually, because this is our backyard, we've actually taken to the streets and walked the streets. And the goal would be, and I'm sorry I don't have the map in this presentation, but essentially we think about like a concentric circle, and we want to be within 10 minutes of any driver to be able to walk to a charging station. So we've looked at, with Hawthorne Boulevard, we've mapped out city block by city block of where those charging infrastructure would need to be within, several hundred feet, and have a plan. So we've identified over 2,000 charging locations in Hawthorne. That would be more than enough to put a charging station on the street for every single Uber driver or Lyft driver that the city has.
Okay. Well,
Mayor Pro Tem?
what's that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Excellent program. clean air. We all need it. You know, the environment need it. My question to you is, are you going to charge people to charge the electric cars at night?
So the way that we structure our program is it's an all-inclusive pricing that we charge to the drivers. Mm-hmm. And the goal is, to go back to my fair days, the goal is that we need to make this car more affordable for the Uber driver so that they can put more money in their pocket. So we know what the competition, is and what we need to do. So the way, we price the car is, person gets the car. It comes with all the maintenance that needs to be done on the car. It comes with charging. It comes with roadside assistance. It comes with insurance. And it all gets bundled into one price. And the goal is that it is cheaper than, for them to go get their normal car and go pay for gas, which costs them about 15 cents a mile. So right now, we're targeting to try to be at least $50 a week cheaper for a driver than it is for them to drive a gas car. And there's some really unique things happening right now that we're trying to take advantage of. And Uber and Lyft have announced programs. Uber supplements drivers with about $1.50 extra per ride that they take if they're driving an electric vehicle. And there's additional money if now you as a rider, if you request an electric vehicle, that driver will get paid a little bit more as well. So there's some really good incentives right now. But the short answer to your question is, we bundle it in, so we make it very easy in terms of a pricing perspective. But the entire goal is, less than a gas car.
Okay, so my next question to you is that it will also increase the city power. Because we have to pay for our street lights, right? We have to pay for our parking lot lights. And right now, we are part of the Clean Power Alliance. I don't know if you know that, because the Edison, we have actually, the city right now have two type of a contract. One with Edison that we pay our street lights, our parking lot lights. And then we got the commercials and the residential that select Clean Power Alliance. So how is your relationship is going to be on those levels? Are those electric charge is going to be increase our utility bill?
Yeah,
how that it works?
Yeah, no, sir. And obviously, SoCal Edison will be very heavily involved in this, and we've started a dialogue with your team and with SoCal Edison, but. No, so our company would be paying for the power usage of the charging. I guess to be decided of exactly how mechanically that works out. We've talked about, putting separate meters onto the charging stations, but no, we would not expect Hawthorne to be, paying for that bill at all for our nighttime use of the charging.
All right, fantastic. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I had a few questions.
Okay, Councilman, go ahead.
Wonderful presentation. Love the idea. It's always wonderful to kind of integrate technology and being environmental friendly. The only concern I would have, and if you had this kind of study done already, with the available space that you're looking to acquire from the city that's not being utilized now, have you taken a study on the amount of congestion that would bring to the city itself? And then in regards to parking, how could you limit it to just individuals that live within the city itself, rather than somebody who says lives in El Segundo that drives through Uber or any other city and just would get dropped off or use another car to get dropped off to where their car is being charged? Because in the city of Hawthorne, we have a very big issue for years regarding residential parking. We hear it every day. It never ceases to end. Having a centralized location of that many more vehicles on our city streets, utilizing space that residents themselves could be used for parking, how would you combat that kind of PR issue, especially when it comes to City Hall. They're going to come back to us saying, well, wait a minute, if you have all this unused available space, and we've been complaining about parking since the day the city's been made, what would they in turn receive for giving up that available parking to now more vehicles on the street that they're complaining about?
Yeah, so let me answer the second part of your question first, just because it'll I guess put that concern at ease. So the way the charging works is it's a one-to-one relationship with an electric vehicle. So the only person that can use that charging station during the nighttime hours is that specific driver of the specific car. So no one else could come and use that station. It's going to be for the resident. So that should hopefully ease your concern there. On the second part of it is, and I probably wasn't as clear as I should have been about this, but the idea is a dispersed network throughout the city of Hawthorne. So it's not I'm not envisioning there being 100 or 200 cars in City Hall overnight. The idea would be the dispersed network to try and get the charging as close to drivers as possible, but in clusters of 6 to 10 chargers. And in terms of congestion, we're only looking to be using the charging overnight. During the day, could be a decision that could be made. If it's on city property, you could decide, not to kind of limit that parking space to an electric vehicle, and it could be open to anyone. I've seen some cities that have done that. If it's a business location, they can decide, how best to kind of restrict that parking to drivers. But the goal is, more of a dispersed network than a concentrated network. So we're not looking to increase congestion. And the other thing I would say is these are, we're looking to take 1,000 gas cars off the street and put 1,000 electric vehicles on the street. We're not trying to increase the number of vehicles on the street. So we're looking for, that type of one-to-one type of exchange. And I definitely, I drive down the streets at night, so I see the parking congestion in some of these residential areas. I would, what we would essentially look to do is actually potentially ease that a bit by having those electric vehicles, parked in a different location, and now they don't need to park on that congested street. We can provide the parking to them at Ralph's, at City Hall.
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bishop, have you also thought about, let's say if a driver got in a contract with you, but he won an electric station in his or her garage, have you thought about that?
Yeah, we definitely have. It's and that's a situation that we're exploring further. We can install charging stations at residential properties as well. And we're interested to explore that as well. We have a good sense of where the drivers do live, but if there are single family homes or multi-family units where there's drivers living there, we're definitely open to that solution of putting charging in their home, or of course they're always welcome to get a car from us and to charge at home. And in that sense, they're essentially no better, we're no worse off than they would be if they were to go purchase a electric vehicle from General Motors and install at their house.
Okay, and just this is a point of observation, because you said something very, very interesting, that when I got elected, I tried to bring a pilot program for parking. We call it was a smart parking. And it was like to allow people to park overnight in our city facility, our parks, and even Hawthorne Boulevard. So that could possibility when your program started. Maybe I'm going to revisit that to bring back that smart parking solution, because that was shut down by my colleagues in the council, because it was not a clear understanding how we were going to do it. But your program actually is going to probably open a door for us to get that conversation going, like you said, to allow some people to park in these other parking structure that is sometime at night, they're vacant and nobody's parking there. And then we have a congested street parking problems on the streets of the neighborhoods of Ramona, North Hawthorne, Monito Gardens, all of that. So thank you for the innovative ideas. And I think we will do business because in my side, I'm going to do the business with you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great. I look forward to that.
Is there anybody else? Okay, Mr. Bishop, thank you so much for your presentation. It was great talking to you and, reaching this point where we're presenting. And I do concur with Mayor Pro Tem Montero. His idea, in coordination with yours, would bring a great solution to the city of Hawthorne's, possibly our parking problem. So we'll delve into that, dot our I's, cross our T's, and make sure that it's something that's helpful. And we just make sure that we address any concerns that any of my colleagues have whenever it comes back, okay?
Great. Thank you very much for the time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Time's up.
All right, thank you. Okay. Mr. Clerk, please read the guidelines for oral communications.
Okay, during oral communications, speakers shall have 3 minutes to state their business. The Brown Act prohibits the City Council from providing a detailed response or acting upon any items not contained on the agenda. The governing bodies as a body shall have the discretion at the close of oral communications to refer your remarks to the city manager for study, investigation, report, and or recommendation.
Okay, go ahead.
So we have 3 public comments coming in as phone calls, and we have no written communications via email. First, it is going to be Ms. Aguilar, who's been waiting very patiently for the last 15 minutes. You are on, Ms. Aguilar.
Good evening, Mayor Vargas and council members. My name is Lisa Aguilar, and I am addressing City Council tonight as an extremely concerned citizen about the welfare of our beautiful city, Hawthorne. First and foremost, let me begin by urging my neighbors that will hear me tonight to say no to the AAA team in descending order. Awad, Angie, and Amy. I am horrified by all the Trump trash Hadar has sent and is placed in my mailbox at minimum 3 times per week. Who in their right mind wants to read all that hate mail with all else that is going on in the world? I am shamefully disgusted with all the vicious mail you have sent. There is no way on earth that a leader in their sound mind do what you have done in order to win the seat of your opponent, Mr. Vargas. If you have spent $500,000 on your trashy campaign, who's to say that you would not hire a hitman to make Mr. Vargas go away so you can win his seat by default? After all, money is no object to get your way. What would it look like for the residents of the working class when you can protest against our own police department to further jeopardize our personal safety? You have been a driving force in dividing a small 6-mile city that you would love to have for yourself. Guess what? If you did not have the courage to show your face at the candidates debate on October 8th, who's to say that you are qualified to lead our city? Sadly, you do not have the backbone to lead a promising city that has been transformed over the last 5 years. Enough is enough of the hater handouts. Angie English Reyes, you were voted out at the last elections by popular demand. Your ego was slammed by losing your seat, which you took personal advantage of, often using your position on city council to get a lot of free rides, taking donations from a highly protested developing company to distribute as an anonymous donation. Where have you been in the last 2 years? If you worked so hard for the people of Hawthorne, your anger kept you away, and honestly, we do not need those bad vibes back at City Hall. In my opinion, you are a poor representation of a Latina in politics. Good luck brainwashing your loyal voters. Amy Shepherd, wow, are you really choosing the good fight? I would have never thought that an aspiring politician would spend so much time defending herself and teammates on a local app. May I ask, is there room for a drama queen on city council? Amy Shepherd, you don't know if you are coming or going. You strongly oppose rent control to keep housing affordable, yet you protest against the efforts for our homeless neighbors. It's very confusing to even try to comprehend your stance. You can't run with the yuppies and pretend to work for the people.
You're at 20
To my
seconds.
neighbors, we deserve better. We deserve to stay on the beat of progress. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Aguilar.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kathleen Murray. Kathleen, you're on. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. We have beautiful trees in Bodger Park, and one of the trees broke. Unfortunately, it was a major break. It blocked the streets, and the branch fell and broke and caused major damage to a car, to a parked car. And inasmuch as schools are home, several children were playing near the fallen tree. City budget is tight, but not at the risk of our children. We do not say that our children, what do we say to our children when they witness illegal fireworks and the police will not respond to lawbreakers? Is it okay to break the law and no one will respond to protect us?
Ma'am.
Is that the end of your comments, Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Okay.
Can somebody contact her after the fact, after the meeting, just to see, get an exact location, please? Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Murray.
Thank you.
You have a good night. Next, we have Jim Lesner. Mr. Lesner, can you hear me? Mr. Lesner, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name's Jim Lesner. The city clerk is free to give out my contact information to anybody who'd like to contact me. I'm talking about the red light cameras, which are on the agenda. A council meeting in 2012 was the last time the council discussed the red light cameras, which at that time had been in operation for 8 years. During that meeting, Captain Kaufman testified, quote, "The hope is that driving behavior is corrected, not just through that intersection, but through the rest of the time you're driving here. You need to study accidents overall. Some of the data that you don't have is accidents for their entirety in our city. You know what? You're right. They're not going down. I wish they were." Unquote. Aside from Captain Kaufman's admission that accidents aren't going down, there is the question of whether some of the locations chosen for cameras ever had an accident history to justify the installation of cameras and the heavy enforcement that followed. In 2004, I completed and published a study of the 1995 to 2004 pre-camera accident history at Rosecrans Henry, the site of 2 cameras which currently generate more than 3/4 of Hawthorne's camera tickets. My study, which I provided to the council today, showed zero accidents attributable to red light runners moving in the directions covered by the Rosecrans Henry cameras. That study is online at highwayrobbery.net. I used official records freely available to the city, so the lack of accidents justifying the cameras was something the city would have known about before the cameras were installed. So why were cameras installed at such a safe intersection? Over the years, the length of the yellow for the left turns from westbound Rosecrans has been the subject of much criticism, with many claiming that its present setting of 3.0 seconds is too short and is just about making money. Jay Bieber, a member of the Institute of Transportation Engineers, who spoke at the 2012 meeting in Hawthorne, has been working with ITE policymakers who, in March this year, officially adopted formulas providing longer yellows for left turns. I provided the council with some of Bieber's recent writings explaining the new formulas. If your decision tonight is to fund the continuation of the camera program, I ask that you direct your traffic engineers to report back to you at the earliest opportunity about applying the new ITE formulas. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, sir. You have a good night. That was the end of public comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Clerk, your consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, I have 5 items on my consent calendar for your approval. Item 8, approval of waiver of full readings of resolutions and ordinances on tonight's agenda. Item 9, city treasurer's request approval of the warrants. Item 12, resolution number 8240, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hawthorne, California, approving a side letter agreement between the City of Hawthorne and the Hawthorne Municipal Employees Association, amending the memorandum of understanding between the parties effective July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2021. Item 13, resolution number 8241, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hawthorne, California, approving a side letter agreement between the City of Hawthorne and the Hawthorne Executive Group, amending the memorandum of understanding between the city and the HEG effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2021. Item 14, resolution number 8243, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hawthorne, California, authorizing the release of checks and warrants issued in connection with the Emergency Rental Assistance Grant Program for adoption.
Okay, I'm going to pull item 14 for discussion.
I move on the others.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Montero, seconded by Councilwoman Valentine. Please take roll call. Vote.
Thank you. Councilmember Awad?
Yes.
Councilmember Montero?
Yes.
Councilmember Tayeda?
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
And item 14, I just wanted to highlight what the purpose of this was. And I'm going to ask our city manager to explain. It's a good purpose, right, Mr. City Manager?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so, as the council knows, each one of its council meetings, it ratifies all the warrants that are going to be released. These are essentially the checks that the city issues to pay its bills. With the Emergency Rental Assistance Grant Program that the council's established, that we just kicked off our application period on this week, we are anticipating being able to assist over 300 families with emergency rental assistance payments. And we want to be able to be agile enough to issue those payments in a timely manner and not have to wait to a regular scheduled meeting of the city council to actually issue payments to these landlords. And so the same checks and balances that the city applies to all of its invoicing will still apply. I would offer even higher levels of scrutiny because these are federal funds that we'd be utilizing. And those, the ratification will happen by the council after the fact, so the public transparency will still occur. It would just allow us to actually better serve the population that the grant program will serve for this community.
I know you're being very formal, but let me just sum it up. We want to get that money, rental assistance money, to the people who need it as soon as possible. That's what this all is, right?
That is true. Yes. Thank you, Mayor.
And we want to be agile too. All right. Thank you. I make a motion.
Second.
Please vote.
Councilmember Awad?
Yes.
Councilmember Montero?
Yes.
Councilmember Tayeda?
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine?
Yes.
And Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
Ordinance number 2206.
Okay. Ordinance number 2206, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Hawthorne, California, amending Chapter 17.74, short-term rental permits of Title 17 zoning of the Hawthorne Municipal Code to allow secondary residence newly defined to include dwellings owned by persons whose primary residence is in the City of Hawthorne to be subject to home sharing regulations and not vacation rental regulations, adding a cap of 10 such permits to be issued on a first come, first served basis per year with a limitation of 1 permit per property owner for adoption.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I move.
Okay, I second. Second, please vote. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Awad?
Yes.
Councilmember Montero?
Yes.
Councilmember Tayeda?
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine?
No.
Okay, and Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
Okay. The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes, except for Councilmember Valentine, who voted no.
Okay, next we have general matters. Public Works Director Alan Leon has an oral report on item number 19. Do you still have that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. This event is a partnership between the Public Works Department and Republic Services. This is a drive-through event for paper shredding and e-waste. E-waste is any electronic or any device such as computer, printer, or any other electronic power devices. The event is scheduled for Saturday, October 24th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Memorial Center at Betty Ainsworth Building. The address is 3851 El Segundo Boulevard. This is at the northwest corner of El Segundo Boulevard and Dolly Avenue. We recommend our residents to take advantage of this event. And again, it is scheduled for Saturday, October 24th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Memorial Center at 3851 El Segundo Boulevard. This is for Hawthorne residents only. We also posted information on the city website. And that concludes my information.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There's no vote needed on this, so we just hearing the presentation, right? Okay, so no, well, the recommended motion is to receive and file the report. So we're gonna accept that report officially. I make a motion to accept this report.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Councilmember Awad,
Yes.
Councilmember Montero,
Yes.
Councilmember Taeda,
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine,
Yes.
and Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
Okay, item number 20.
So it's the request from myself, the city clerk, regarding the flex vote centers.
But you're requesting us permission or whatever, just agreement, right?
Yeah.
I make the motion.
Second.
Sure. Just to be clear, I think the motion should be to direct the city manager to negotiate the agreement and provide me the authority to execute. That way we've got a complete motion.
We don't want to leave you out this. Okay, so Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so can you restate the emotion for me so we know that you have it ready to amend?
Yes, what Eric stated, to give him the authority to negotiate the agreement for the Flex Boat Center.
Okay, I make a motion on that.
Second.
Okay, please vote, roll call.
All right, Councilmember Awad,
Yes.
Councilmember Montero,
Yes.
Councilmember Taeda,
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine,
Yes.
and Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
All right, Mr. City Manager, your consent calendar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have items 22 through 30 on my consent calendar, with the exception of item number 28, which is the photo red light enforcement item, which has been pulled by staff.
Okay. Anybody else? Any comment? Okay, I make a motion.
Second.
Please vote.
Councilmember Awad,
Yes.
Councilmember Montero,
Yes.
Councilmember Taeda,
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine,
Yes.
and Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
Awesome, very good.
To the chair,
Yes, sir.
hey, let me ask you a question. Can I go back and change my vote on something, or once you vote, that's it? What's that?
Well, you're gonna have to ask nicely so that
I like to, item 17. I'm having trouble with that one.
that's why we gotta be careful. Well, okay. Council, Mr. City Attorney,
Yes,
what's protocol?
yeah, Mr. Taeda was in the majority, so he can make a motion for reconsideration on item number 17.
Yeah, I like to abstain on that because there's some research.
Okay, your first motion would be, you would like to make a motion for reconsideration on item number 17, ordinance number 2206.
Yes, exactly what you just said.
Okay. And your motion would be to revote on that item.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you take a vote, Mr. Mayor?
Well, it hasn't been seconded yet.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so somebody.
Okay, well.
Hey, we were being technical here, man. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so roll call vote, please.
Okay, Councilmember Awad.
Abstain.
Okay. Councilmember Montero.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Taeda.
Abstain.
Okay. Councilmember Valentine.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The vote reflects Councilmember Awad and Taeda abstaining, and Councilmember Montero and Valentine yes, as well as Mayor Vargas.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on.
Oh no, you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Isn't this was a vote to allow?
Yeah, Mr. Taeda voted. He didn't vote the right way. You wanted to just change your vote, but first you have to vote yes. But there's still 3 votes, so we can move forward. Okay, so now the motion for reconsideration is passed, and now we're going to retake the vote on ordinance number 2206.
All right.
Here we go.
To the chair.
Yes, go ahead. What's going on?
Do we have anyone from the planning department that can just clarify exactly, because I think some of my colleagues might be confused about this ordinance. Eric, do we have anybody from the planning department?
We do.
Yes.
So,
Or
Greg,
even,
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Art Bashmakian, Interim Assistant Planning Director. I'm available to respond to questions.
Okay, since I created this mess, can I give I had a homeowner complaining about a 4-unit across the street from her house. And supposedly the people didn't live there, and they were renting 4 of the units supposedly as additional ADU, no, ADU is that, or Airbnb. And that would fall under this category. In other words, if I understand this program correctly, if you live in the city, you're allowed to rent 1 more unit if you own another unit, correct?
Yeah, this ordinance, the amendment would allow an owner 1 additional opportunity, 1 additional permit to be able to rent. So if there's 4 units, they could rent 1 of them as a short-term rental if they own and live in the city.
Right. They could only rent 1 unit. They
Yes.
wouldn't be able to rent all 4 units.
No, because the limit would be total of 10 permits and only 1 per owner.
Okay, so I just want to be clear on something. I own a property in Hawthorne and I live in it, so I qualify for this program. And I own a duplex, let's say, or 3 units somewhere that it's a rental. I can use 1 of those units as an Airbnb type property, but only 1 out of the 3. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So it actually provides limitations, so it's helpful.
Yeah, no, okay. I just wanted to be clear on that until before I thought about it, and I'm voting on something that I wasn't sure on. And I just want to be very clear that I can go back to this homeowner and say, listen, this guy across the street that's renting 4 of those to and dealing with them as an Airbnb, he can't do that. He can only rent 1. And if I'm correct with that, then I'm okay with this particular.
I make the motion.
To the chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Just because Mike said something about EDUs. EDUs would not be allowed to be as short-term renters, okay? So if it's a garage conversion, EDUs, that's gonna
No,
be,
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, you know, there's so many abbreviations. that
okay.
You get a little confused.
I just want to make sure.
Apologize for that.
Yes,
What
okay.
what I want to be clear on is that the short-term rental, you can only rent one of them.
Correct.
That's it. You live in one, so that qualifies you for this program.
Yes.
But in your second rented, non-owner occupied, you can only use one of those units as a
Yes.
That's short-term renters.
okay, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, you know, I would go back and I would vote for that, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're gonna
Now
vote.
that I have a better understanding of it.
Thank you.
I make the motion.
I second. Okay,
Please vote.
this one time.
I have a clarifying question.
Go ahead.
So am I correct that with the home sharing agreement, there's an unlimited number of times that the home can be shared during the year? So it has to be 30 days at a time, no more than 30 days at a time, but it can be an unlimited number of times during the year. So I would say probably up to 12 times. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's no limit for the home sharing. That's correct.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
That hasn't changed.
Okay. Roll call vote, please. Roll call vote. Mr. City Clerk?
Councilmember Awad,
No.
Councilmember Montero,
Yes.
Councilmember Taeda,
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine,
No.
and Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
All right. So the vote reflects Mayor and Councilmember Montero and Councilmember Taeda voting yes, and Councilmember Awad and Councilmember Valentine voting no.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Tayeda.
I just want to be clear. You know, I just want to be.
No,
clear.
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay.
Well, listen, Mayor, the problem is that this woman's got a 4-unit living in front of her, and they're renting 4 of those, and so they're getting new tenants all the time, and they're making a mess on that block. And she was concerned about that, and I thought they can't rent more than one. That was my my feeling, and I just wanted to be able to go back and tell her, listen, we just get code enforcement to follow up on this, and you know, maybe that'll alleviate some of the problem. You know.
Okay.
That was my whole purpose for creating that mess.
Mr. City Attorney, your consent calendar, please.
Yes, I have items number 32 and 33 for your consideration.
Make a motion.
I second.
Please vote. Roll call.
Councilmember Awad,
Yes.
Councilmember Montero,
Yes.
Councilmember Taeda,
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine,
Yes.
and Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
The vote reflects Mayor and City Council voting yes.
Okay. So what number are we on now? Okay, City Council discussion and action items, number 35. I didn't miss anything, right, Mr. City Clerk?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Councilwoman Valentine, your item.
Thank you. So my first item is that I'd like to get consensus from my colleagues to cancel the council meetings scheduled for October 27th, 2020 and December 22nd, 2020. The first one is the last meeting in October, and it is just before the election. And traditionally, we cancel that meeting, and I'd like to get concurrence to cancel at that time. December 22nd is Christmas week. People take vacations. It's a really slow period of time. There's probably no agents, very few agents, members of agencies and businesses that are doing business that week. and it gives the staff an opportunity to spend that time with their families. So I would like to request that we cancel both those council meetings.
I second.
Please vote. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Awad,
No.
Councilmember Montero,
Yes.
Councilmember Taeda,
Yes.
Councilmember Valentine,
Yes.
and Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes, except for Councilmember Awad, who voted no.
Okay, discussion action item number 36.
And this one, yes, this one is the city sponsorship of the 2021 Hawthorne Business Expo. We're trying to be agile. We're reinventing ourselves, just like we're asking all our businesses to do. We can't hold our regular business expo with hundreds of people as we usually do, but we're going to try and hold a virtual event. So it'll be a much smaller event. It'll be called a virtual business town hall this time, and it won't be, we won't have an exhibition. We won't have exhibitors on the floor. We'll have a panel discussion, a virtual panel discussion, probably 2 panel discussions. We'll probably have a keynote speaker, and we're looking for some entertainment as well. But it's a much smaller event, but it will give us a chance to showcase some of our businesses, and also give our businesses some much needed advice on how they can help themselves, and what resources are available to help them. And we're calling our theme is reinventing your business in 2021. So we're asking again for city sponsorship, as we always do. I just want to correct something that was in the record, that we're asking for city assistance from the staff, but we're not planning to advertise the businesses on the city's website. We'll advertise it on the Hawthorne Business Expo website. So we won't be advertising businesses on the city's website. So I'm asking for concurrence from my colleagues to once again sponsor the Hawthorne Business Expo 2021 in its reinvented form.
I concur.
I concur.
Okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some kind of a vote? Or?
So concurrence, I think we can substitute that as a vote. Is that okay, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Elected officials reports and recommendations. City Treasurer David Patterson. Are you with us, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here. I just want to thank the community for coming out and making their voices heard, and appreciate the community for tuning in on YouTube. I know I've heard a lot of feedback over the last few weeks about all the people who have been checking out the council meetings on YouTube. And so I'm excited to hear about that engagement. And I look forward to, I guess, returning in November, hopefully with some good news. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you. Mr. City Clerk?
Yes, if Eric Chavez could give me access to share my screen, let me just double check. All right, so I'll be doing that in a bit. Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to thank everyone who is on tonight. And we appreciate you taking the time to watch us. And the next topic I wanted to really discuss was the census. So basically, unfortunately, the Supreme Court just backed the date up again to October 15th. So there's a couple of days left to October 15th for you to complete the census. So please complete the census. I was sharing with some of my colleagues that the numbers are pretty staggering in terms of how much money we lose every time someone doesn't complete the census. We're looking at between $1,600 and $1,900 per year that we lose when someone does not complete the census. And since they're completed Once every 10 years, we're talking between $16,000 and $19,000 per person that basically don't go to essential resources like homeless resources, schools, etc. So we have 2 more days. At this point, we're at 66.4%. The second topic, I basically just want to share one of the websites with you, well, a couple of the websites with you that were discussed today. So first of all, these are websites that, so first of all, this is our voting website. So if you go, and it's very easy, it's cityofhawthorne.org/voting. You'll be able to find these links, and you'll be provided information on what happens when you vote by mail, how to register to vote, including the vote centers to find your nearest vote center, and also your nearest vote drop boxes. So this is what it looks like. So basically all you do is you just add your address, and then it's going to give you your nearest locations. And then the same thing for the drop boxes.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
We don't see nothing on our screen.
Oh, you're not seeing it?
Yeah, we don't see anything.
Can you see this now?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, now we see it.
Okay.
Can you go back?
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so thank you. You guys should have told me earlier. That was like a whole 2 minutes. So basically, yeah, so this is the City of Hawthorne /voting link. You can find that on our city clerk website, and you're going to be able to find, you know, how to vote by mail in California, a little video. You could check your voter registration, how to register to vote. So it's a lot of useful information. And specifically what was covered tonight, if you click on these 2 links, the finding your nearest vote center, it will take you to this link here, which provides you, you know, all of our locations in terms of our vote centers. And then if you click on this link, the voting drop boxes, you'll be sent to this this link, and it basically tells you where the drop boxes are. So, and then we also have links that just break down all of the locations in Hawthorne in terms of the vote centers and also the drop boxes. But at the end of the day, you know, I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that if you do go to our city clerk website, that there's plenty of resources. We've been sharing this information with all of our community via Nextdoor, via Instagram, via Facebook. And again, this is all on our website. So does anyone have any questions about that? So with that said, please vote early. What I did during the primary elections, I went around and on the night of the election to see if there would be lines or not. And I would tell you on average, the lines were about an hour and a half long. I was wondering, like, as people were leaving, I was like, oh, you know, why were these individuals waiting until the last minute to vote? And the common response was they just weren't aware of the vote centers, where they were located, or they weren't aware that they were actually, that they could vote early. So that's something that our city clerk's office is really going to be pushing over the few next weeks. So it's just really important that you vote early. It's going to make it easier for everybody. You know, especially with COVID, we want to be able to social distance. So I feel, you know, it just scares me a little bit to have so many people waiting in line on actual election night. So I ask everybody here and everybody at home, please try to get the word out that you can actually vote now. Thank you.
Well, thank you for educating the community, and pretty soon that'll become the norm, right?
Yep.
Okay. Councilwoman Olivia Valentine.
Thank you. First of all, following up with what the city clerk said, I want to congratulate the city clerk for his advocacy, for his determination to make sure that our citizens get all the information they need about voting and the census. He's been extremely active in this area, and I want to thank him, and I want to thank him for that fine presentation. So that's the first thing I want to say. So we have, I'm very excited. We're going to launch Home Share South Bay in the South Bay Council of Governments on Friday in partnership with Silver Nest. I mentioned this to you at the last meeting. The goal is to pair homeowners who are looking to share their dwelling with those who are looking for a roommate. So it seems to be a very attractive program, especially for older adults who may have a large house they wish to share and need extra cash. Silver Nest will do a background check on the renter and collect rent in exchange for a 5% monthly fee. It seems like a win-win situation for everyone. So as of Friday, you can contact Laurie, Laurie, at southbaycities.org or Grace at southbaycities.org. And please copy me when you do that so that I can keep track of Hawthorne residents who take advantage of this program. The program is being made available to all the residents in the South Bay, but I would really like to see Hawthorne residents take advantage of it if at all possible. So please, I urge all of you to take advantage of it. And I've also already asked the city manager to put the information on the website so that our residents can be aware of it. Obviously, the earlier you apply, if you know, depending on how many spaces, how many people they're going to, how many people they're going to allow to apply for the program, the earlier you apply, the better. So please don't delay. And again, I want to emphasize the Emergency Rental Assistance Grant Program and thank the city manager for spearheading this and making this available so that our residents can have rental assistance. You have to meet income eligibility requirements, and you have to show financial impact as a result of COVID-19, and you can receive up to $1,000 per month for up to 3 months. So again, as it was I don't want to restate what was said already. The good news is we will hopefully be able to assist about 300 families. So I thank the city manager for organizing that effort. And I'm very excited about being able to provide this to our residents. And that's all I have. Get out and vote, everybody. You have all the information you need to vote by mail or vote in person. So please vote. I urge you, please fill out the census. I urge you to do that as well. Have a good rest of the month, and we'll see you after election day. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Tayeda?
Well, I just to follow up on what Olivia just said, that program is doing great. Just started today, and we have 16 applications. So I was really happy to hear that. The other program that I was very interested in was the illegal dumping. You know, I was talking to the city manager about how that was going, and he gave me some statistics that from, I think it was from the middle of September to the middle of August to September, or September to October, I'm not quite sure. But in a 30-day period, we picked up 71 tons of leftover furniture and what people leave on the sidewalk. And so you can imagine eventually that was going to be picked up, but how long would that take? Who knows? I've had some good feedback on that program. And I think if I'm wrong, Eric, correct me, but there was about 130 calls for that.
Yes, that's
so,
true.
You know, that's 71 tons in a 30-day period, 130 calls. So as a pilot program, I think it's on its doing well, and I hope that that continues. I'm going to follow up a little bit on that second rental because I want to be able to get back to that particular individual that said that this particular property across the street was making her life miserable and the lives of the people on that block by renting more than one. Also, I know I've been contacted lately by some people that are complaining about the level of traffic on their street, particularly 116th Street, and suggesting that maybe we can put some speed bumps. So I noticed that we just put speed bumps on 142nd Street, and there's a few people that want to have that also in their street. And I'd like to know, because we had a conversation about that, what's the procedure? How do you go about getting that? I noticed that there was a lot of signatures on that. And so I have several people that want to apply for that same service. Other than that, that was a very interesting proposition or proposal or program that Mr. Bishop was talking about. Certainly is something worth looking into. And it'd be wonderful if that thing would work the way that he said it could work, because that is the future. You know, that is the future. And if we can make that work in our city, that would be great. But anyway, I'll see you guys after the election, I hope. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Awad?
Thank you very much. I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. And don't forget to come out on November 3rd and vote. And then the only, I only have just two questions I wanted to bring up. I found it confusing. City Attorney?
Yes.
Traditionally, our public comment stops at what time?
What time does it stop?
Yeah, if you wanted to send in something for public comment.
I believe the agenda has a time on there, but I think it's at 4:30 or 5:30, Mr. Jimenez.
Yeah, so in the past, it's been 5:30 and we changed it to 4:30 at this meeting.
And when was that change made?
It was made after the previous meeting. I met with our city attorney and discussed the topic, and we thought it would be a good idea, especially because at the last meeting, we had so many emails, and I didn't have enough time, half an hour, to actually collect them. And there was also some that I needed to translate from Spanish into English. So after our discussion, we thought it'd be a good idea to change it back to 4:30.
Was there a big announcement made for that, once in a few years change, or was it just the small number change on the agenda?
It was on the agenda, and then we also, via Instagram, via Nextdoor, we also shared earlier in the day that people—
That the change for the public comment from 5:30 to 4:30?
We provided the agenda to them, and that was basically what we did.
But not stressing the change from 5:30 to 4:30, correct?
No, we did not.
Okay. It's very alarming. It's almost like, close to voter suppression, and the same issue as before. It's almost residential suppression. Limiting 1 hour of public comment is absurd. It's devastating to even hear that kind of decision was made without council discussion, or even because even the limiting of the time from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, that was a council vote. I'm surprised that such a large, substantial action made by this administration, and Mayor Vargas, of course, you look over the agenda, that something like this, my God, that is shameful. The fact that you say you don't have enough time, you're saying that you did not have, none of you had enough time to look over those emails. So you're saying that your time, you don't have enough for the residents of Hawthorne, limiting it by 1 hour. That is shameful. I'm wondering how you guys sleep at night. Suppressing the public's voice without letting them know. And each and every single one of you knew. Appalling. And Dr. Jimenez, we've had this discussion before when you decided amongst yourself to not read hundreds of emails the last time we spoke, and you said never again would I suppress and work alongside the mayor in suppressing the voice of the public. I have that conversation still. You are the city clerk. To be bullied by the mayor, to suppress the public's voice by 1 hour, even 1 minute, is uncalled for. and to the mayor to allow that to even happen, to suppress the public's voice by 1 second, is something that should never be done in a public office, a public administration, or any city hall. We are here to work for the people, not for ourselves, and not for any political gain. There's another issue I want to bring up. And Mr. Montero, you might know this as well. City Attorney, I have another question for you. Under our code, and I want to say maybe every city's code, are electeds allowed at any one time to misuse public funds or public equipment or public space for campaign purposes?
No,
Do I have
they
the
are not.
resolution? Okay. As we are all well aware that this occurred, are the necessary parties informed? Correct. Will things need to move forward? Yes. The fact that, City Attorney, I'm wondering if the parties at fault were even addressed by your office. Because I was a substantial error. And I would want to say thousands of individuals knew. And if you were to say that you had no idea, it would alarm me. City Attorney?
Yes. I received a complaint, and the complaint was acknowledged that it was received.
And from that?
The city attorney's office is not the one that determines whether or not there has been a misuse of public funds.
But no discussion with who is at fault.
All I can do is pass on that information, because there were a number of people that were campaigning for this election who have done similar things.
Okay, so Mr. City Attorney, I know you're trying to sidestep the question. From the misuse of public funds and equipment in such a manner, we have on our own moved forward with it because we were afraid of this same situation. The misuse of public funds and public equipment is unlawful by any candidate, any city. That's one. Two, suppression of the public's voice is sad. And this is the administration that we're trying to show the city of Hawthorne during a time where they need us most. Sad. That is just sad. I laugh out of pity for the leadership that you all chose to show during this time. And I want to end my public comment with that. And Dr. Jimenez and everyone else, please do better for the people. That's it.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Montero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'm going to echo the word for Ms. Valentine, to Dr. Paul Jimenez for the job well done. And you've been doing a fantastic job with the census, with the voting centers, because no, it was tough to negotiate with LA County and to find places because of the new guidelines about 2,200 square footage and the 11 days or 5 days. So thank you for outreach to our partners in the city to get those sites. And I have to take my hat off because of the census, because the census, you have gone beyond the 64% that we did 2020. And even that time, we spent a lot of federal dollar to outreach the people. Even I did a carnival and stuff on the park to throw people to file those census, and you have passed that. So I commend you for the effort that you've been doing, going on your own time on the weekends at the Northgate Market and to be on the street corners to get people to sign for the census. So my hat goes to you. And that is what people don't understand. For example, we could receive more dollars for the CDBG and the home fund, we could, instead of just $1.7 million for the rental assistance program, it could have been $5 million if we would have got, 100% of people of Hawthorne fill up those census in 2010. So we want more people to fill up those because, like Dr. Jimenez said, for 10 years, we'll lose millions of dollars from federal government. And some of them is the CDBG and the home fund. And of course, for our streets, for the police, all service that come from the federal government through the cities is based on those census number. So if we do not fill up those forms, we are cheating ourselves from the money that we pay, our tax dollar that goes to the federal government, and it should come back to us. So we should take advantage of that. So thank you for that, because you have done an outstanding job for that. And I know, even your wife put some money on her own pocket to give gift card. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. So next, I want to commend the staff, city manager, I know the city attorney, and Kimberly Mack and Vaughn and Jesse, to keep eye on programs to help the homeless. And that's what tonight, we heard about the Family Promise of South Bay, a new provider that we partnership with to bring more service to prevent homeless tenants to become homeless. And also during the city manager consent agenda, we vote to extend the program with the St. Margaret Center, another program there, another $50,000 for the program. So all these programs that we're trying to address to help the homeless. We know it's not enough, but at least we're trying, and we are putting our federal dollars and some other money into the programs to help the homeless. And I hope we will, help more than say 16 or 20 families in Hawthorne, and specifically those individuals on the street that need some case managed and mental health and connection to other resources. So thank you for that, because we are a city of good neighbors, and that's what we're trying to do, help each other, okay? Again, the program about the Gemini Electric Mobility, that's a fantastic idea. And I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that program come to our cities with make sure that everything is legally and well done, and because it's a pilot project, so we need to embrace those type of innovation, technology, green energy, and also probably to talk about again how we can solve the parking problem in Hawthorne. And remember, I tried to bring the pilot project for smart parking. And this idea of Genie, electric mobile, and that smart parking could be one of the solutions for us to begin to address the parking issue in Hawthorne. So stay tuned for 2021. We're gonna do great things starting in January, okay? Okay, I want people to pay attention because I believe, in the agenda, we vote on something that was mandated by the court, that more recycle program would come to Hawthorne soon, okay? Especially, a lot of waste management because of food. We know, all the restaurants begin to recycle those food, trash and everything, and it is going to come to residential. So it's not tomorrow, but keep in tune that this is coming to you, that we're going to be doing more recycle. So make sure that our environment is clean. All right, so
you're at 30 seconds.
I just want to say, just for the record, because Mr. Haydar mentioned my name, Montero, I'm not using any facility or any public fund, but I want to, okay, thank you. I want to just acknowledge to make sure that my colleagues that are running for office, some of you have been probably violating FPPC regulations, okay? So be aware of that. what you're doing out there, from people stealing signs, from maybe using your office for videotaping a message, those are violations. So be aware of that. Okay, so we all make mistakes, and we're here to serve the people and make sure that we don't use facilities or even logos or even the symbols of Hawthorne. So try not to use those. Even pictures that has been taken by the city staff. Don't use those on your campaign. So it's a learning process. Just learn about that. And we know we're not perfect. And we will survive this election. Hawthorne is a city of good neighbor. I have faith on the people of Hawthorne. They will make the right decision. So please go out to vote and vote early. And thank you for listening to us, at least for these 10 months. We have done great things for Hawthorne for these past 2 years, and we'll continue to do things for people of Hawthorne. So that is what I care about, the people. So God bless and good night, and please vote early.
Thank you. All right, so I want to thank everyone for being here today, the community for listening to us, speaking to us through oral communication. I think there's a lot of great promise in Boyd Bishop's presentation. So I think we should pay heed to that. There's a lot of opportunities. There were some concerns. So I'm looking forward to what that's going to bring for us. And so after November, we'll start taking a look at that and we'll keep moving forward. I was honored to have been invited to speak at 2 events, and I have another event that I was invited to speak at. I spoke at the Male Success Alliance for Cal State Dominguez Hills, my alma mater, and that's where I went to school. And they asked me to go speak to a group of young men who are in college, who are looking at leadership roles, what is in store for the future, voting, elections, what it takes to campaign, how to navigate through the system when it comes to that. And it was a really great opportunity to relate with them. So I really appreciate my colleagues, my fellow alumni for bringing me on board for that. Then today I spoke at the Men of Color Conference over at Santa Monica College. All of these were over Zoom. So I got an opportunity to do the same with their male student body there and be able to give them some good advice. They asked me a lot of questions, so they're very inquisitive. So I was really privileged to have been invited for that. The Social Workers in Solidarity, a USC social worker group, and in conjunction with the Social Workers in Solidarity for Cal State Long Beach, those are the major schools for social work. So I am going to be speaking with them in a Zoom call as well. They're talking about the same thing, becoming involved politically and talking about the political climate right now and trying to get a perspective from a local leader. So I'm really appreciative of their asking me to speak to them. I need to look at, I think I have information. I don't have it. No, actually I do. So, and of course, just wanted to address, my name was mentioned also by one of my colleagues about voter suppression. Absolutely not. I had nothing to do with whatever decisions were made between the city clerk and the city attorney. So today, we're going to, are there any go backs? Okay, so I am going to close the meeting with honoring Kaoru K. Marisato, who was born on August 27th, 1921, and she passed away on October 5th, 2020. So she was a Hawthorne resident back then. She was born in the city of Hawthorne in 1921. This was before the Japanese internment. And the city of Hawthorne back then had a lot of agriculture that was that was taken care of by Japanese Americans. And she was one of the first people who lived here in the city of Hawthorne. And Wiseburn, the school district, the Wiseburn schools actually had a large Japanese American population because that's the school that was open at that time. We didn't have a lot of these other schools that we see now. I mean, Luziger High School was around during that time. Wiseburn School was around during that time. So she was one of the first students that were involved with that. So please join us in celebrating the life of Kei Sato. She was preceded in death by her beloved husband, Tabo Sato. The Sato family was one of the largest pioneering families and prominent businesses in the city of Hawthorne, beginning in the early 1900s. Also preceding her parents were Kumahiko and Sumo Kani. Her brothers were George Shinoki and Frank Masato, and her sister Dorothy Ritsuko Kani. Kei is survived by her brother Melvin Kani, son Dr. Dean Sato, her daughter Kathleen Kadoguchi, who passed away, her daughter Geraldine Yaglagian, nephew Stephen Kani and Darren Kani, granddaughters Leslie Kolodski and Kelly Bennett. Her great-grandchildren include Jordan and Taylor Bennett and Kyle, Lauren and Morgan Kolodzi. Viewing will be Friday, October 16th from 3 to 7 at Halverson, Stone, and Myers Mortuary in Torrance. Graveside services will be Saturday, October 17th, 10 o'clock at Green Hills Memorial Park. Reception to follow. So we honor Kaoru Kei Mary Sato. This meeting is now adjourned.
Hi, night.
Good night.